A nurse warned the millionaire not to attend his party. 3 hours later, he discovered the scary truth. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. It starts in the middle of an ordinary evening, but it quickly becomes anything but. You're about to discover how a simple warning can change the course of a millionaire's life forever. A young nurse, Anna, was finishing her shift at Westbridge Hospital when she was called into Dr. Harris's office. The moment she entered, she could feel the heaviness in the air. Something wasn't right. Dr. Harris, usually calm and composed, looked at her with a serious expression. "Anna," he began, "I have a special case for you. It's not for the faint of heart." His words lingered in the air as Anna felt a cold chill run down her spine. "What kind of patient?" she asked, her voice steady but filled with curiosity. Dr. Harris placed a thick medical file on the desk, and Anna could feel her heart race as she read the name. Grant Carter, the youngest billionaire in the city, the man whose face was plastered on every business magazine, now lying in a coma in one of the most expensive suites of the hospital. The accident that had left him in this state was a nightmare. A sports car crash, a violent spin off the bridge, and now, for over a month, he had been unconscious, his life hanging by a thread. But that wasn't all. Anna knew about his reputation. The ruthless CEO who built an empire with an iron fist. He had no family left, no one who cared enough to visit him. His world, once full of power and control, now reduced to this. Dr. Harris spoke again, his voice softer now. "We need someone who cares, Anna. Someone who won't just go through the motions. Can you do it?" Anna hesitated. She had dealt with her fair share of difficult cases, but this one felt different. There was something about Grant Carter's name that made her feel uneasy. Still, she nodded. "I'll do it." As she walked to the private suite, her thoughts raced. She had heard of Grant's temper and his ability to manipulate those around him. She wasn't sure what to expect, but she was determined to do her job. She had seen the worst of the world, and nothing could prepare her for the man she was about to meet. When she entered the room, she was taken aback. The sterile, cold environment was a stark contrast to the luxury that surrounded him. The suite was huge, adorned with fine art and plush furniture, but all of it felt lifeless. In the center of it all, Grant Carter lay motionless, connected to several machines, his body pale and fragile. He was a far cry from the powerful, charismatic leader that the media painted him to be. Anna stepped closer, adjusting his foredrip, her hand lingering on the edge of his hospital gown. She couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy. "What happened to you?" she whispered, though she knew he couldn't hear. As she worked, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. She had been warned not to get attached, but how could she not? Grant Carter, in his vulnerable state, looked nothing like the ruthless businessman everyone feared. Anna finished her duties and stood by his bedside for a moment, watching the machines beep steadily. She couldn't explain it, but she felt connected to him, as if her presence was the only thing that could keep him grounded. Little did she know that her decision to care for him would soon set off a chain of events that would change both of their lives forever. As Anna continued to care for Grant, she found herself growing more invested in his recovery. She spent hours by his side every day, adjusting his machines, monitoring his vitals, and talking to him as if he could hear her. It was strange. She knew he was unconscious, but there was something about him, something vulnerable in his stillness, that made her want to help. She would tell him about her day, her struggles with school, and her dreams of becoming a nurse practitioner. She even shared memories of her late mother, who had inspired her to pursue a career in healthcare. Every day, she would talk to him, and every day, the faintest signs of improvement began to show. His brain activity increased, though it was subtle, almost imperceptible at times. The small movements, his fingers twitching slightly, his eyelids flickering, were enough to make Anna hope that he was truly hearing her. One afternoon, as she adjusted his she noticed a change. His fingers moved. It was barely noticeable, but Anna's heart skipped a beat. Could it be? She immediately called Dr. Harris, her voice trembling with excitement. The doctor, skeptical at first, came to check on him. After some tests, he confirmed that there was increased brain activity, but he was cautious. It could just be reflexive, Dr. Harris said. We need to run more tests. Anna's hope didn't falter. She believed Grant was waking up. In the following days, she continued her routine, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was different. Every time she spoke to him, she felt an unspoken connection, as if he was slowly waking up to her presence. It was on the third day after the first signs of movement that it finally happened. Grant's eyes opened. For a moment, everything stood still. Anna stood frozen by his side, her breath caught in her throat. She watched as his blue eyes slowly focused on her, confusion evident in his gaze. She quickly pressed the emergency button, and within seconds, Dr. Harris and the team arrived. But Anna couldn't tear her eyes away from Grant. He had woken up. He was alive. Anna, he whispered hoarsely, his voice barely audible. Where am I? Anna felt a wave of relief flood over her. You're in the hospital, she said softly. You've been in a coma for a while. Grant blinked, his mind struggling to process the information. What happened to me? He asked. Anna hesitated. You were in a car accident, she said gently. But you're safe now. Grant's eyes searched hers for a moment. Then he closed them again, as if exhausted. The doctors quickly began their checks, but Anna stayed close by his side. As they left the room, she felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her. She had done it. She had helped him wake up. But something told her that this was just the beginning of a much bigger journey. That night, as she sat in the break room, she couldn't help but wonder about the man she had spent so much time caring for. Grant Carter, the ruthless businessman, now lying in front of her, vulnerable and fragile. What would happen next? How would he react when he realized the full extent of what had happened to him? Anna didn't know, but one thing was certain. Her life was about to change in ways she never expected. Grant's recovery progressed slowly but steadily. Over the next few days, his body grew stronger, though his memory remained hazy. He could recall fleeting moments from before the accident, his last business meeting, the crash itself, but the details were fragmented, as if his mind was reluctant to let go of the trauma. Anna spent more and more time by his side, keeping him company, offering comfort in the silence. She continued to talk to him, telling him stories, keeping him engaged. She spoke about her life, her struggles, and her dreams. She never mentioned how difficult it was for her to keep up with everything. Her part-time job, her responsibilities at the hospital, and the weight of her own personal worries. Somehow, being with Grant made her forget about the chaos outside the hospital walls. As days passed, their connection deepened. It wasn't romantic, not yet, but there was an unspoken bond between them, one that neither of them fully understood. She wasn't just his nurse anymore. She was the person who listened, the person who stood by him when everyone else had given up. It was late one evening when Grant finally asked the question she had been dreading. Why are you still here? His voice was weak, his eyes filled with vulnerability. You don't owe me anything. Anna paused, her heart pounding. She had known this moment would come. She had expected him to ask, but it didn't make it any easier. I'm here because I believe in second chances, she said quietly, her voice steady. I believe in helping people when they need it the most. Grant looked at her, his gaze softening. He had heard her, and for the first time since waking up, he didn't feel so alone. That was the moment Anna realized how much her presence meant to him. It wasn't just about his recovery. It was about something deeper. But even as she felt a shift inside her, there was still a part of her that was uncertain. She knew who he was, the millionaire CEO who had everything but was still lost in the world. And yet, in this moment, he was the man who had been humbled by his own fragility. He wasn't the same person she had imagined him to be. The next day, Anna was about to leave for her shift when Dr. Harris called her into his office. His face was grave. Anna, he began, there's something you need to know about Grant's accident. The investigation is still ongoing, but it looks like it wasn't just an accident. It seems that someone tampered with his car. Anna's heart sank. She had suspected something was off, but hearing it confirmed made her stomach churn. Dr. Harris continued, this changes things. We need to be extra careful. Anna nodded, but her mind was racing. Who would want to harm Grant? And why? That night, she stayed late at the hospital, watching over Grant as he slept. Her thoughts were consumed by the possibilities, but her instincts told her that the answer was closer than she thought. As she sat by his side, She couldn't help but feel a growing sense of responsibility for him. Something had happened during the accident, something that tied them together in a way she couldn't yet explain. As Grant woke up the next morning, he seemed more alert, more aware of his surroundings. His eyes met Anna's, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. But there was an understanding between them, something unspoken but real. Anna took a deep breath and made a decision. She would help him uncover the truth. But as she stepped out of the room to call Dr. Harris, she couldn't shake the feeling that the road ahead was going to be far more dangerous than either of them could have imagined. The following days were filled with uncertainty and tension. Anna knew she had to stay focused. Grant's health was improving, but the mystery surrounding the accident weighed heavily on her mind. She couldn't ignore the feeling that someone wanted him gone, and that realization made her more determined than ever to find the truth. She began to spend more time with Grant, helping him with his physical therapy and encouraging him as he regained some strength. They had long conversations about his life before the accident, and Anna slowly began to understand the man behind the headlines. He was no longer the ruthless billionaire who dominated the business world. He was just a man who had been betrayed and left broken by those closest to him. His mind wandered often, lost in thoughts of his company, the people who had once relied on him, and his estranged family. But Anna was always there, offering him a listening ear and gentle encouragement. Grant, for the first time in what felt like forever, began to open up. One evening, after a long day of therapy, Anna sat beside him in the quiet of his hospital room. "You know," Grant said quietly, his voice tinged with regret, "I've spent my entire life building this empire, but I never stopped to think about what really mattered. I was so focused on power, on control, that I forgot what it meant to be human." Anna looked at him, her heart heavy with understanding. She had always known that money and status couldn't fill the emptiness inside a person. "You're still human," she said softly. "You're just waking up to it now." His eyes met hers, a flicker of something in them. Maybe gratitude, maybe something more. But before he could say anything further, there was a knock at the door. It was Dr. Harris. "Grant," he said, "we've got some news about the investigation." Grant straightened up, a look of concern crossing his face. "What is it?" Dr. Harris took a deep breath before continuing. "We've traced the tampering with your car's brake system. It wasn't an accident. Someone tried to kill you." Anna felt a chill run down her spine. She had suspected this, but hearing it confirmed made the danger all too real. Grant's expression hardened. "Who would do something like that?" he asked, his voice low and dangerous. Dr. Harris paused, as if weighing his words carefully. "It appears to be someone within your company, possibly an old associate who has been trying to take control of your assets." Grant's jaw clenched. "I need to know who," he said, his voice firm. "I won't rest until I find out." The news hit Anna harder than she expected. The idea that someone close to Grant, someone he had trusted, would betray him like this made her stomach turn. But she couldn't back away now. She had promised herself that she would help him, and she intended to keep that promise, no matter the cost. "We'll find out who did this," Anna said, her voice steady despite the fear building inside her. "We'll uncover the truth." Grant looked at her, his eyes softening. For the first time, Anna saw something in him that she hadn't seen before: vulnerability. It was as if, in that moment, he wasn't the powerful businessman anymore. He was just a man who had been hurt, who needed help. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I don't know what I would have done without you." Anna smiled, though her heart ached. "You don't have to do it alone," she said. But even as she spoke, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The search for the person responsible for Grant's near death would lead them down a dark and dangerous path, and Anna knew that once they started, there would be no turning back. The investigation into the tampering of Grant's car continued to grow more intense with each passing day. Anna and Grant both knew that they were on the edge of something dangerous, something that could change everything. The more they uncovered, the darker the truth became. As they worked together, Anna found herself diving deeper into Grant's world, a world she had only ever heard about through media headlines. Yet, the more she learned, the more she realized that this man, the Millionaire CEO, was not the ruthless businessman everyone thought him to be. He was someone who had been caught in a web of betrayal, someone who had lost touch with what truly mattered. The following week, Anna received a call from Dr. Harris late in the evening. He needed to see her right away. Anna's heart raced as she rushed to the hospital, the weight of the situation pressing down on her. When she arrived, Dr. Harris was waiting for her in his office. His face was grim, and his eyes were filled with concern. "Anna," he said quietly, "we've uncovered something disturbing. One of Grant's closest associates, someone who has been working for him for years, was involved in the tampering. But there's more. This person has been manipulating the financial records and trying to take control of Grant's company from the inside." Anna felt her stomach drop. She knew this would be serious, but hearing it out loud made the danger all too real. "Who is it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Harris hesitated for a moment before answering. "It's Nathan Walker, Grant's former business partner." Anna's mind raced. Nathan Walker was a name she had heard in passing, but she had never connected him to the current situation. "Are you sure?" she asked, disbelief in her voice. "We're certain," Dr. Harris replied. "He's been under investigation for some time, but we didn't realize the extent of his involvement in Grant's accident. We found evidence that points directly to him, but we still don't know why he did it." Anna's mind whirled. Grant's world was crumbling around him, and now it was becoming clear that someone he had trusted had been plotting against him. But why? What could Nathan possibly gain from all of this? As Anna left Dr. Harris's office, she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. She had come to care for Grant, but now the stakes were higher than ever. She couldn't let him fall into the hands of someone like Nathan Walker. She had to help him. The next day, Anna met with Grant to update him on what they had discovered. She didn't want to burden him with the details just yet, but she knew it was important for him to understand the severity of the situation. "Grant," she said softly, "we've found the person who tried to harm you. It's Nathan Walker, your former business partner." Grant's expression darkened, and for the first time, Anna saw a flicker of anger in his eyes. "I should have known," he muttered. "I trusted him. I brought him into my world, and now he's trying to destroy everything I've worked for." Anna placed a hand on his shoulder, offering comfort. "We'll get through this, Grant. We'll stop him, but you need to stay focused on your recovery." Grant nodded, his eyes steely with determination. "I'm not going to let him take everything from me. I'll fight to the end." The two of them made a pact that day, a promise to take down Nathan Walker and uncover the full extent of his betrayal. As the investigation moved forward, Anna found herself caught in a whirlwind of emotions. She had started out as Grant's nurse, just doing her job. But now, she was more than that. She was his ally, his partner in this battle. And as they prepared for the next step in their journey, Anna realized that this was no longer just about saving Grant's company. It was about saving him from the darkness that had consumed his life. And, in doing so, saving herself as well. As the days passed, the tension around the investigation began to grow. Anna and Grant knew they were getting closer to the truth, but with each step forward, the danger felt more real. The quiet hospital room that had once felt like a safe space now seemed more like a battleground. With Nathan Walker's betrayal looming over them, both Anna and Grant were determined to face the truth, no matter what it cost. Grant's recovery continued at a steady pace, but his focus had shifted. He no longer spent all his time dwelling on his health. Instead, he began to strategize, to plan his next steps with the same determination he once used to build his empire. Anna could see the change in him. The man who had been weak and vulnerable now had the fire of someone who was ready to fight back. She couldn't help but admire the strength he was showing. But she also knew that things were not going to be easy. The more they uncovered, the more dangerous it became. Nathan Walker had connections, people who would do whatever it took to protect him. As Anna worked late one night, poring over files and gathering evidence, she felt a tap on her shoulder. Startled, she looked up to see Grant standing behind her, a determined look on his face. "We need to move faster," he said, his voice firm. "Nathan won't stop until he gets what he wants." Anna nodded, understanding the urgency in his words. She stood up, stretching her arms, exhausted but ready for the challenge. "What's the next step?" she asked. Grant's eyes met hers, and for a moment, it felt as though they were no longer just two people caught in a whirlwind. They were partners, equal players in a dangerous game. "We confront him," Grant said. "We take the fight to him before he has a chance to make his next move." Anna's heart raced at the thought. Confronting Nathan Walker wasn't something to take lightly, but she also knew that it was the only way forward. "We'll do it together," Anna replied. The next day, they made their move. Using the evidence they had gathered, they set up a meeting with Nathan Walker, a face-to-face confrontation that neither of them could back out of. The meeting took place in one of the most expensive conference rooms in the city, with a panoramic view of the skyline. Nathan sat at the head of the table, his demeanor cold and calculating, just as Grant remembered him. "I know what you've been up to," Grant said, his voice calm but firm. "And I know you tried to kill me." Nathan's eyes flickered, but he quickly regained his composure. "You have no proof," he sneered. "Just accusations. It's all a game to you, Grant. You're not in control anymore." Anna felt a wave of anger rise within her, but she held it back, knowing that their next move had to be calculated. "You're wrong," she said, her voice steady. "This isn't a game. This is about justice." The tension in the room thickened as Grant leaned forward, his eyes fixed on Nathan. "We have the evidence, and we're not backing down. You'll be exposed, Nathan. It's just a matter of time." For a moment, there was silence. Then Nathan's expression shifted, a flicker of something darker in his eyes. "You don't know what you're dealing with," he said, his voice low. "You think this is about me? This is bigger than you, Grant. You're just a pawn in a much larger game." Anna and Grant exchanged a look, both of them now more certain than ever that they had to push forward. They couldn't let Nathan get away with this. "Then we'll find out what that game is," Anna said, her tone unwavering. "And we'll make sure you lose." As they left the meeting, the weight of the situation settled in. They had confronted Nathan, but they had only just begun to unravel the full extent of his plan. The road ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: they would stop at nothing to bring him down. The tension between Grant and Nathan had reached a boiling point. The confrontation was over, but the weight of what lay ahead was still pressing heavily on both of them. They knew Nathan wouldn't back down easily, and the revelation that there were bigger forces at play made the situation even more complicated. Anna sat in the hospital break room, the weight of their conversation with Nathan still hanging in the air. She couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The more they learned about Nathan's motives, the more dangerous the situation seemed. Grant had his enemies, but now Anna was beginning to understand just how deep the corruption ran. They had just scratched the surface. The following days were filled with mounting pressure. Anna and Grant met with their legal team, preparing for the inevitable fallout. They needed to secure Grant's company, his reputation, and protect himself from any more attempts on his life. But the more Anna learned, the more she felt the growing disconnect between Grant's world and her own. She was a nurse, someone who had never been a part of the high-powered business world that Grant was so familiar with. Yet here she was, deeply entangled in his fight. At the same time, she could sense a change in Grant. The vulnerable man who had once been lying in a hospital bed, frail and uncertain, was now slowly becoming the formidable so he had been before the accident. He had taken control of his life again, but this time, it wasn't just about his company. It was about something more. It was about justice. Anna couldn't help but admire his resilience. He had fought so hard to get back to this point, and now, with his eyes on the bigger picture, he was determined to reclaim everything that had been taken from him. As they sat together in Grant's office, going over the next steps, Anna couldn't ignore the quiet storm brewing inside her. She had come to care deeply for Grant, more than she had ever expected. But the reality of their situation was becoming clearer. This fight was far from over. As they pored over the financial documents and the evidence they had gathered, Anna's phone buzzed. It was a message from Dr. Harris. Her heart skipped a beat. She had known something was coming. Dr. Harris's message was short and to the point. "Nathan's been making moves behind the scenes. We have to act now." Anna's blood ran cold. They were out of time. Nathan wasn't waiting for them to make the first move. He was already planning his next strike. "We need to act fast," Grant said, his voice firm, though the tension was clear in his eyes. "We can't let him get away with this." Anna nodded, feeling a surge of determination. This wasn't just about Grant anymore. It was about something bigger. It was about stopping a dangerous man who had already caused so much harm. But as they prepared for the next phase of their plan, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle was only just beginning. Nathan had been planning this for months, and now, with everything at stake, Anna and Grant would have to outsmart him. The stakes were higher than ever, and there was no turning back. As they finalized their strategy, Grant turned to her, his expression softening. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I wouldn't be here without you." Anna smiled, but the weight of the situation hung over her. "We're in this together," she replied, though she knew the road ahead would be long and uncertain. But in that moment, she knew one thing for sure. They would face whatever came next, side by side. As the days grew more intense, Anna and Grant worked tirelessly to put their plan into action. They knew that time was running out, and Nathan Walker's next move was inevitable. The tension in the air was palpable. Each meeting, each strategy session, felt like a countdown to the inevitable confrontation. Anna could see how determined Grant had become. His focus had shifted completely from recovery to revenge. The man who had been fragile and uncertain just weeks ago was now a force to be reckoned with. But even as he became more resolute, Anna couldn't shake the unease that settled deep within her. They were walking a dangerous line. Nathan was a powerful man, and he wasn't about to let Grant take back what he thought was his. The first part of their plan was to hit Nathan where it hurt most, his business empire. Grant knew that Nathan had been manipulating the financial records for months, trying to secretly take control of the company. With the evidence they had, they were in the perfect position to expose Nathan's actions and stop him from seizing everything Grant had worked for. The plan was risky. If Nathan discovered what they were doing, he wouldn't hesitate to retaliate. But Grant wasn't backing down. "This is our chance," he said one night as they finalized the details. "If we expose Nathan now, we can cripple him." Anna looked at him, her heart heavy with the weight of the consequences. "But what if it backfires?" she asked. "What if we put ourselves in even more danger?" Grant took a deep breath, his gaze unwavering. "We don't have a choice. Nathan won't stop until he gets what he wants. We have to act now before it's too late." Anna knew he was right, but the uncertainty still gnawed at her. They had already risked so much. What would happen if they lost everything in the process? The next day, they moved forward with the plan. With the help of their legal team and trusted allies, they began to expose the evidence of Nathan's financial manipulation. They leaked the information to the right people, making sure it would reach the media. It didn't take long for the news to break. The public was stunned as the story hit the headlines. Grant's company was under attack, and Nathan Walker's name was at the center of it all. It was only a matter of time before Nathan realized what had happened. When the news broke, Grant and Anna knew they had only one chance to confront him. They had to meet him head-on, before he could retaliate. The meeting was set for the following week. Grant and Anna arrived at the location, an old, abandoned warehouse near the city's outskirts. It was the perfect setting for the final showdown. Nathan would be expecting a different kind of confrontation, one where he could use his power to intimidate. But this time, things would be different. Grant had no intention of backing down. As they entered the warehouse, they saw Nathan waiting for them. His cold eyes scanned the room as he looked at Grant. "You think you've won?" Nathan sneered. "This is just the beginning." Grant stepped forward, his voice calm but filled with authority. "No, Nathan. This is where it ends. You're done." For a moment, there was silence. Then, with a swift motion, Nathan lunged at Grant, his rage boiling over. But before he could make contact, Anna stepped in, her voice firm. "It's over, Nathan. You're not going to get away with it." Nathan stopped, his face contorting with fury. "You think you've won?" he spat. "You don't know what's coming." Anna stood her ground, her heart racing. She knew this moment would be the turning point. They had fought long and hard to get to this point, and they weren't going to let Nathan destroy everything they had worked for. "No," Anna said firmly. "We know exactly what's coming, and we're ready." Nathan's expression faltered for a moment as the weight of their words sank in. But then, with a last, desperate glare, he turned and stormed out of the warehouse, his plans in ruins. Grant and Anna stood there, breathing heavily, the weight of what had just happened settling in. They had won, but the battle was far from over. As they left the warehouse, Grant turned to Anna, his voice softer now. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I couldn't have done this without you." Anna smiled, though her heart still pounded in her chest. "We did this together," she replied. And in that moment, Anna realized that no matter what came next, they had each other. They had fought side by side, and together, they had won. The road ahead was uncertain, but as long as they were in it together, nothing could stop them. Months had passed since the final confrontation with Nathan, and life had begun to settle into a new rhythm for Anna and Grant. The battle for control of Grant's company had been long and hard, but they had come out victorious. Nathan Walker's empire crumbled, and the truth about his betrayal was exposed to the world. But even as the storm calmed, Anna knew that the real victory wasn't just about taking down a powerful adversary. It was about the bond that had formed between her and Grant. Over time, Grant's company regained its footing, with new leadership taking the helm and ensuring that the damage caused by Nathan's sabotage was repaired. Grant had reclaimed his empire, but more importantly, he had reclaimed his life. He was no longer the ruthless CEO who had lost touch with the people around him. He had changed, in ways Anna never could have imagined. One evening, as they sat in his office overlooking the city, Grant turned to her with a thoughtful expression. "I've been thinking a lot about what comes next," he said, his voice quieter than usual. Anna looked at him, curious. "What do you mean?" "I mean, everything we've been through," Grant continued. "It's been a whirlwind, but I don't want to just go back to the way things were. I've learned a lot, Anna. About myself, about life, and about you." His words caught her off guard. And for a moment, Anna couldn't speak. She had always been there for him, but she had never expected him to see her in that way. "I know I've been distant, focused on the wrong things for so long," Grant said, his gaze steady. "But what I've realized is that the only thing that truly matters is the people you trust, the ones you can count on. And I've come to realize that I can count on you, Anna." The words hung in the air, and Anna's heart skipped a beat. She had always admired his strength, but now, she saw a vulnerability in him that made him more human, more real. She smiled, her eyes softening. "I've always believed in you, Grant," she said quietly. "And I always will." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their shared journey settling between them. It was as if the world had finally come into focus, and for the first time in a long while, Anna felt a sense of peace. But Grant wasn't done. He stood up, walking over to his desk. When he returned, he was holding something in his hand. Anna's eyes widened when she saw the small, velvet box. "Anna," Grant began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Everything we've been through, everything we've built, has led me to this moment. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I want you to be a part of it." He opened the box to reveal a simple, elegant ring. Anna's breath caught in her throat as Grant knelt down in front of her. "Will you marry me?" The question hung in the air, but in that moment, nothing else mattered. Anna looked at him, her heart swelling with love and gratitude. Everything they had been through had brought them here, and now, with one simple question, everything was about to change again. "Yes," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Grant stood, taking her hand as he slipped the ring onto her finger. "Thank you," he said, his voice filled with more than just gratitude. It was filled with love. As they embraced, Anna realized that this was the beginning of a new chapter. Together, they had overcome the darkness, and now they were ready to build something beautiful. The future was uncertain, but with Grant by her side, Anna knew that they could face whatever came next, together. And as they stood there, the weight of the world behind them, they knew they had found something even more valuable than power or wealth: love, trust, and the promise of a shared life ahead.